And hello! We are back with more Knights of the Old Manta Rays in Space. Yeah, another week break. I think this will probably be coming out immediately after I post the identity video that I did last time. Last we kind of came off here. We had just came to Dantooine and we finally got to use our sweet Jedi Sentinel yellow lightsaber, and I think I just have to like brutalize these Mandalorians right quick before I do anything else. I don't know if they're going to be hostile. I can only assume the worst.
Since you haven't given us enough money, I guess we're going to have to take it out of you piece by piece.
Take it out of you.
No, please. Take my wife and children instead. Anything.
Wife and children.
Take my wife and children. Mandalorians are mean. That's what they're trying to tell you. Mean as a bean. Where are my force powers? Oh yeah, I can't use burst of speed because it's stupid ass armor. Yeah, I'll do that. Mandalorian on Mandalorian hate crimes, Canderous? Please do. I think this guy's gonna get wrecked as soon as the battle starts. Also, I did adjust the audio again, and the last video I raised the game audio a little bit because I felt like it was too low, and I listened to some of the older stuff, and I've dropped the music and the sound effects again. So hopefully it comes across as a better mix again. I'm still trying to perfect everything, but the natural audio levels of everything are so wonky in this game that I've really tried to bring the vocals up and the sound effects and the music down. So hopefully that'll read.
Yeah.
Friendo. Use the flurry. Thank you, God. Man, I feel like I'm not even... God, life is easy when you have a lightsaber. Good God. Answer a couple questions, answer some like web trivia, and you get a lightsaber and they just send you on your way out here. But yeah, the question or the topic of the day today is going to be coding. And it's going to be coding because I feel like it keeps coming up. I have tons of buddies that are doing coding boot camps the same as I did, and looking to kind of get that bright, beautiful coding future. This is to the Grove. I have no idea where that is. Maybe that... Oh, I'm just going to go this way. You know, this bright coding future... I think my forces powers are like literally useless right now other than for cure, but this bright coding, you know, software development future that a lot of these people want, and I feel like I should share my coding experience, my experience with bootcamp, and also just coding related stuff. So if you're interested in learning how to code, learning software development stuff, this might be the episode. That isn't for you, because I'll probably ramble and forget the entire point of the episode anyways. This is cool. This might be that one guy's house, actually, with the weird sex bot worker. Is this him? Hello? Sex bot?
This is private property. By what authority are you trespassing on this estate? Leave immediately.
These settlers have come to Dantooine seeking privacy.
This is private.
They've come seeking privacy. Matale pass card. I was wondering if this was the house of that guy who said that they had been robbed. Maybe this is like is this just to their estate? Let's check out the area. Maybe they're getting brutalized by the Cath Hounds as well. Huh. Even if I fought that droid, I probably wouldn't be able to get into the estate like that. Can I get in from this side? Hackable. Oh, you need a pass card. Interesting. But yeah, so to get into like my background with coding, God, the cat hounds look so bad. Like when they're just standing there, they don't move like at all. Horned cat hound, ugh, delish. Am I the only one in range? What?
Huh? Yeah, what are you...
No. What? Let's just go. Let's just do it. These guys are pushovers anyways. Wow, his homies are literally just gonna watch me like slice up their main dude. Man, life really is easy with a lightsaber. Kill him! They don't even want to go straight for the back line, huh? Power attack?
How'd you like that?
Oh.
Time to rumble.
I'm like taking no damage. Like literally. I want to do all the damage. Car's just getting wrecked over here. God, Cure is amazing. Cure is like everybody in the party. Makes it so you don't need med packs as bad like you do at the beginning of the game. You didn't want to come fight? Use a flurry. I'm trying to figure out how to take things out of
I
the...
try not to think about my past battles too much. Horrors of war or something I'd rather not.
The horrors of war? My people know only the glory of battle. Disappointed in you, Karth. I thought a warrior like you would understand.
Why are we having this conversation right now? That would be the bigger question. Hello? 3?
I'm not a warrior. I'm a soldier. There's a difference. Warriors attack and conquer. They prey on the weak. Soldiers defend and protect the innocent. Mostly from warriors.
Nice speech. I bet you tell yourself that every night so you can sleep. But I accept who and what I am. I don't have to justify it with words. Victory in battle is my justification.
Justification through victory. So what happens when you lose? You know, like you did against us.
You had us outnumbered 5-1. You had more ships, more troops, more supplies, and the Jedi on your side. And we still made the Republic tremble before we fell.
Nice speech. I bet you tell yourself that every night so you can sleep. I don't want to
Ooh.
talk about this anymore, Canderous. The war is over. You lost.
Dang. Let me just shiver away. He was shook. This man, he gives him the death blow right there. Then he turns around and just like, did I get him? You know? Oh, jeez. Clearly a glitch, but still hilarious. Yeah. I guess we can cut up these other Cath hounds over here while we're figuring out where we should go. Is he gonna attack us? I wonder. Let's just go to the courtyard. So yeah, my coding experience kind of started with I'd really wanted to get into coding and game design and all that jazz early on, and I wanted to learn. What is this? Is this like the cave? It's another private. This might be that one dude's house. Strange ruins. Cool. I wanted to learn coding, and I went to classes in at UCF, and I can we get in? They had thick stone doors sealed. I went to classes at UCF, and I kind of hid out, and I wanted to learn coding because I was interested in making games, and I knew that, hard skills versus just like pretending. I think this is probably a good opportunity for a grenade here. Hard skills instead of like, oh, here are the mines on the right over here. What?
Whoever steps on this will get a nasty shock.
If it's not us. How do I chuck this? No! What are you idiot! Thank you. Good God. How'd you like that? How'd you like that? Let me focus this guy. God, Candace is so godlike. Full spam flurry. I think there's like a way to get like one of the feats makes it so that this flurry thing like almost never misses. Yeah, Jedis are godlike. They're super strong. But yeah, I knew that like a lot of the stuff circled around the hard skills, you know, like trying to like get into game design as like a level designer or anything. I just didn't see like the point into it, and so I tried to learn by just like basically walking into UCF like they shouldn't let you do, I guess, and going in and basically just taking classes for free. And a lot of them ended up being like comp sci classes about like multi-threading and cores and GPUs and how that all affects performance and blah 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 blah. I guess I could just sit here and let my my stuff heal. I don't know if I want to fight them at the moment, but yeah, it was basically like I ended up sitting in on the wrong classes, I think, and oh wow, I just went in a circle. Ended up sitting in on the wrong classes, and I didn't learn anything, and so I kind of gave up on coding again for a little while. Wait, did they not respawn? I mean, the Mandalorians don't respawn, but maybe the Cathhounds don't either. I guess I'll go this way. But it didn't really amount to anything, and then a couple years later I ended up taking some like self-guided C++ online course kind of deal. And I did that. And
What?
I did that.
You asked for this.
And God, that frag hit like literally nobody. Started doing that. That's my
How'd you like that?
I'm getting aggroed by everybody. Please? Help me? How can I miss like every single shot, you know? Come on. He was getting here. I'll help you kill this guy. And then you guys can help me kill this dude.
How'd you like that?
And eventually I can get enough. Thank you. God, they're just like wrecking them. They look so silly with their tongues out. So I ended up doing some self-guided C++ stuff for game design. Is there more stuff over here? It kind of looks like it. Self-guided C++ stuff for game design and Baluch. And it didn't really teach me much anyways because C++ is kind of like a bad... Interesting. That was not where I expected this to go. Moonjing! I keep getting interrupted, I'm sorry. I know this is another one of those completely inconcise episodes, but this is getting interesting. Munga di Hontonga! It's almost like you say the same thing over and over and over. He looks so... He has like no textures. When I arrived, Handon was holding his side, and Rickard was favoring one of his legs. You would do well to remember this as we progress through the case. Alright, question the witness. Yeah, I learned C++. Oh, those are the dead bodies of the cat hounds I killed earlier, so I guess they do stay dead. And this is the information droid. Can I look at the body? What was on the body? Shot from behind with a blaster, apparently. I learned C++ a little bit. It's not a great beginning language. It's very strictly typed. It's a hardcore systems language, and there's a lot of like memory management you have to do with C++. And it's not a good language for learning because it doesn't get you to building things very quickly and seeing that, like, you know, it's not like a good confidence builder. You don't like go build the hardest language or the hardest thing or the things that don't show you the most like visible outcomes right from the beginning. So not only was it not the greatest language to learn with, and they teach it because it's the coding language of Unreal Engine, but it's not the greatest language to learn with in my opinion, but I also didn't have like anybody to talk with or practice with or build with, which is kind of how I learned. And the people I did have, which were like some developers related, you know, that worked with my dad, they just weren't very helpful or weren't the right kinds of people to be teaching me. So it did take me a little bit later. I had tried more than a couple times to learn coding before I found what actually worked. But let's quiz these guys and see what they actually know.
Jedi, huh? Helping that Twi'lek investigate, no doubt. He seems stumped. I'm Rickard Lusoff. Maybe you can figure this out and let me get out of here. Well, I was out hunting Iriaz when I spotted one over here by the bridge. I pull out my rifle and aim at it. I couldn't see it that well, mind you, because the damn sun was in my eyes. So I shoot it and it drops. I walk over here and find Handon standing over Calder's body. So why don't you get this whole farce over with and send that whiner Handon to the prison he belongs in?
That seems kind of weird. So he thinks that there is this hunting creature on Dantooine. The sun is in his eye. He claims he couldn't see. He shot out. He supposedly shot the creature, and then he found this other guy, Handon, over the body after he had shot, which makes no sense to me because why would Handon suddenly appear after he shot this guy and then be the murderer, right?
Ah, greetings. You must be assisting Master Baluk in his investigation. I'm Handon Gould. Perhaps you've heard of me? Really? Well, then I assure you, on my reputation, I had nothing to do with the killing. I will help you with the case as best I can, though. You see, I was out here running earlier today. Yes, running. I do that a lot. Can't stand speeders, never use them. Keeps me in shape, too, you know. Anyway,
He tells a story like me.
on the other side of that bridge there. And all of a sudden, I heard a shot coming from over here. I ran over and found this man Calder lying on the ground, dead. And I saw Rickard come skulking out of the shadows of the rocks south of the river, and I knew something was wrong. I hit my emergency button and called the Enclave right away. Well, there. That's my story. Now, please hurry this up and arrest Rickard so I can get on with my day.
Now, what did the Twi'lek say that he had found out?
Dolpada bonqualeo gondona chuchut. Kachi chu ita dundonga. Yumalita kuto tun. Chilamulane ni dubo.
I think Quinn opened the door and was listening. I'm just trying to figure this out. He was shot in the back.
Kachichu ita bodunga. Tolbabank, wale oganda naru chuchut. Mogesha ponka bola wana chikne. Mule slimo podadada nanga kumbis. Mule rabes. Runda di hodonga kun honkabi. Kachi kun ita hodonga. Ikin kun opa mule rachi kun. Slimo podona rundi hodunga kun.
So, they say that the guy was shot in the back. If he had to be shot in the back, he was shot at close range. Both people say that they saw this guy, Rickard, coming from a distance. This guy, Handon, said he was running and he stumbled upon the body. He does not have a weapon, supposedly. Rickard did have a weapon, and it was confiscated by the Jedi who came to the scene. This Calder guy has a rifle with bloodstains on it. This man was favoring one of his legs. Handon was favoring his side. So I feel like Handon is at least guilty. Because how could he have been shot in the back from that far away? I mean, I guess he could have either way.
Information retrieval droid. If you have any need of, I have already retrieved some information from the archives on Caldernetic. Is there any?
About the
My
body.
preliminary analysis of the body indicates that he was killed approximately 3 hours ago by a single energy blast to the torso. Is there any other information you need? These plains are rife with wild animals, not all of them benign. The Irias are mostly docile, but can easily be provoked to violence. Calfhounds, on the other hand, are much more deadly. There have been over 35 catalogued attacks on settlers by calfhounds in the last 2 weeks. A general advisory was given out 3 days ago to carry a weapon at all times when on the plains. Small farms and holdings dot the plains and can provide safe refuge for those in need.
So it seems very unlikely that Holdan would be running out here while everyone's getting attacked by the Cathounds without a weapon.
Very well.
I mean, everything's kind of lining up. This Holdan guy runs without a gun.
Injured? No, of course not. Why would I have been? Fit as a bantha. I run. I don't know if I mentioned that. How can I be? I was taking my daily constitutional. I just happened to be running by when I heard a shot. I ran over and found Calder's body lying there. How can I be?
If you're holding your side, you might be tired from running, which means that you don't actually run all the time. This guy says that he runs all the time, but if he didn't have a weapon, or if he's pretending to not have a weapon, then it's unlikely that he actually runs all the time out here because he would need a weapon to be safe from the Cathounds.
Well, actually, I didn't see anything. I was over across the bridge. I heard a shot and came over. I can tell you I was sure surprised to see Calder's body lying there. I just got here when I saw Rickard coming out of the rocks holding his blaster. I was terrified. I had no idea what he was going to do, so I hit my emergency button and called the Enclave. Master Balut came out here with his droid and started questioning. I hope that you'll be able to make him... Of course.
Let me talk to Rickard again.
What do you want to know? Well, I kind of sprained my ankle running through the bush before I found the body, but it's nothing that serious. So, what? I told you already, didn't I? Was hunting some Irias. Haven't seen many in the area recently, what with those calf hounds acting up. But they're still around. Was in my blind a little south of here when I spotted one, like I said before. I shot, and pow, went down. But when I come over here, there's Handon standing over the body and the Irias was gone. Now, I don't have nothing to do with this, so can I go now?
He said that he saw an Iriaz.
So. Well, I was out hunting Iriaz south of here, and I saw one over by the bridge. I shot, and when I came over here, I found Handon standing over the body, holding his side. There wasn't an Iriaz in sight. I think he might have taken it. Calder must have been hunting it himself, because there was a rifle lying close to the body. Bullock's got that now. Mine too. I want that back. Right.
There was an extra. It's got to be Handon then. So this guy was trying to take his kill. The rifle that was next to the body was confiscated. I think it was Handon. I feel like they'll want me to think it was Handon, but honestly, I can't say, right? I mean, if the hunter claims he saw an Iriaz, he shot at the Iriaz, but it was in a blind. Then he came up, Iriaz is gone, guy is dead. He shot once. He couldn't have killed both of them with the shot, right? If there was an Iriaz, he killed it and shot it. If there wasn't an Iriaz, he killed the dude, right? I doubt that he would have shot him in the back from that far away in the sun. So he got there, and then there was a dead body. There are no seeming inconsistencies in the story as far as I can tell at the moment. I thought there was an inconsistency about him seeing the animal, because first it sounds like he thought he saw one and then he didn't see one. But the next one was, the other guy said that he had been running. It doesn't seem likely that he's running out here that often. He didn't seem to be carrying a weapon, but it seems like Handon did it. Handon is lying. Fat people always lie. I mean, I didn't think that was a strong enough answer, though. You know what I mean? It was cloudy, you're right. Ah, I didn't get it. Ugh. Nice. Ooh. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to my story. Hopefully I will. If that's all you're interested in from viewing this, you'll probably have to wait for me to finish the cross-examination.
So, what do you want to know? Yeah, I knew him. Hell, we've known each other for a good long time. Doesn't mean I really have to have liked the slime ball. Maybe I shouldn't be so hard on him. Especially now that he's dead. We actually got along pretty well most of the time. We just had our differences. We were actually business partners. We were involved in some orbit-to-ground transport operations for Aerotech. Can I leave now? I should probably be the one to give the news to his wife. So. You Jedi are so predictable, always seeing some greater purpose behind everything, when the simple answer is usually the right one. Can't you see that it must have been Handon? I found him standing over the damned body. I don't know why this is causing you so much trouble. You almost seem as lost as this Bullock guy. So...
That's all I can really ask him. So he has a relationship with the victim. I didn't put that together with the weather. Damn. If I had written all of this down, I would have figured it out. Handon.
How can I be a further... I knew him a little bit, but I was not any sort of great friend to him or anything. I never really associated with him that much. In truth, I didn't really want to. He had a reputation. Very inconsiderate of family, I heard. But merely having heard unkind things about someone wouldn't make me want to kill him. I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit agitated. Why must we remain here? Can't you see that Rickard must have shot him? How can... Well, you see, Calder was involved in some pretty sordid business from time to time. More often than not, I've heard. Disreputable business practices, even more disreputable clients. I've even heard he had dealings with a hut here on Dantooine. Now, I bet you're wondering if I had any reasons to kill the man, but I tell you, I hardly knew him. I saw him once or twice, yes, and I've heard some pretty unkind
Nothing about
things
family,
about him,
though.
but certainly nothing that would make me want to kill him. Of course.
론더 디호동가 군 헝가비 카치 군 이다호동가 이키 론더 디호동가 군 헝가비 원
I think Handon is lying.
쟤도 봐도 와는 이디보 무주샷 박한 기노노 론더 디호동가 군 헝 쟤도 봐도 와는 통하이 웜지
It's kind of dumb that you can kind of just... They will not penalize you for... Does this mean that I have not... Rickard is lying, Handon is lying. I guess you don't get certain access to certain things unless you talk to the information retrieval droid.
The Southwood Speeder rental business has records that over the past several weeks, a speeder had been rented by Mr. Nettic and Mr. Gould. Is there any other information you need? According to the municipal authorities near the Garang spaceport, there had been news of violent drunken activity in a cantina attached to the port. Apparently, a Mr. R. Lusoff was making accusations at a Mr. C. Nettic about cheating him in a business deal. Jedi Tuka was dispatched to the scene and restored order. Is there any other information you need? Very well.
How can I be a further...
Handon lied about not knowing the victim. Something I'd already felt, but I didn't have an option to say this. I will continue my investigation. I want to discuss the murder. Handon is lying. He had rented a speeder. And he said that he had only seen him once or twice, Calder. Yeah, but it proves that they have a greater... He knows him greater than he did. So I guess I can cross-examine them further now that I talk to the droid.
But I realize this must seem like a motive to you, but I assure you it isn't. I dislike Calder, true. I would punch his face in, given the opportunity, but I would not kill him. My wife was cheating on me with him. I slept in my own bed while I was in the next room. But, as much as I may hate him for that, I could not kill him. It may have been my own fault for driving my wife away. I must try not to take the law into my own hands.
You said
just
try.
out running, trying to clear my head for the divorce proceedings, not stalking him to kill him. Running is not a crime. Of course, of course. How can I be of... Of course.
So, I mean, but I was right about him not being a runner when he was holding his side, so he was out stalking him.
So, what do you want to know? Now, I don't love Calder, but we go back a long way. We run a suborbital shipping and transport company out of Garang Spaceport. We've been partners in that business for well over 20 years, and we've been doing just fine the way we are. Right.
How can I be a further... Knock his block off, maybe, sure, but not kill him. You know, normally I'm not prone to outbursts like that, but Calder... Mr. Medic, I had had my suspicions for several weeks, but had no proof until...
Well, if you can't keep her, it's your own fault.
Damn.
As much as I may hate him for that, I could not... It may have been my own fault. I was just out running.
Alright, is there anything else about...
Is there any other information? We cannot get any more specific analysis. Is there any other information you need?
The information does not belong to Calder. Yeah. I have to get more information on the blaster. They're kind of like pushing it.
That blaster? Never seen it before. Calder himself had a preference for Echani weaponry. He had this one really nice light blaster rifle that he always used. Always wished I could get myself a rifle like the one he had.
Echanis make delicate weapons with too little firepower. Lightweight stuff, if you ask me.
That blaster ain't it, though. Calder only had the one rifle, too, so he either must have borrowed that, or it's someone else's.
How can I be a further... That blaster was stolen from my house last week. I never knew what happened to it. I hardly have enough money to afford a single blaster, let alone another. I can't tell you how important it is to have a weapon on hand with all these ravenous cath hounds around. Even an Irias can take a man down if it gets in the mood. Every settler has a weapon. It's our most prized possession. I would most appreciate it if I could have that back after you determine that Rickard is the killer. How can I be of further assistance? Of course.
So how could he have shot himself with the blaster that he saw hand in? I don't know what the hell is going on now. I guess I can talk to the droid again.
Is there any other... I am sorry, but I seem to be failing you. I thought to find the record of the missing weapon report Mr. Gould filed with... Is there any... Very well.
Mr. Gould. Caldernetic has no reason to use a stolen weapon because he favored Echani weaponry. He had only one rifle, and he would not have come here. This man did not file a missing weapon report for the weapon that was stolen, and initially, yeah, he wanted to kill the dude. He lied about it being stolen.
Is there any other... I have just received back an analysis of a sample of the blood found...
Just now.
It had been sent back to the Enclave just before you arrived. The blood on the weapon is definitely not Calder's. Unfortunately, there was a bacterial contaminant in the sample that had been taken back to the laboratory, and it had become degraded. We cannot get any more specific analysis from that sample other than the fact it did not belong to Calder. Is there any other information you need? Very well.
It had to have been Handon. We gotta see who's actually bleeding.
So, what do you... Well, kind of.
Did Handon... Is Handon bleeding?
How can I be of further assistance?
Is that why he wants to go?
Injured? No, of course. Of course.
So if the blood doesn't belong to Calder, it has to be Handon's, or this guy, or the Jedi. I don't know. But I'm guessing it's Handon. Didn't belong to the victim. It's Handon's. He is clutching his side.
Hey, what are you doing?
Rickard killed him. Rickard killed Calder for cheating him. He's posing this, asking me if this is the right answer. Rickard killed Calder for cheating him in business. While shooting Calder, he hit Handon by accident. Handon didn't report the weapon missing. That doesn't mean that he's guilty. Rickard lied about the sun. So he did fire. He should have been able to see his business partner out in the field. So he definitely shot towards him. And Handon is Handon has a motivation. It couldn't have been Rickard's blood on the rifle. And if the rifle was his, if the rifle was placed by the body, I think they're both guilty. I got it right. Somehow.
Damn both of you.
Damn both of you.
You did good. You might just make a proper Jedi yet. Who knows?
Yeah. Ooh. That kind of took over my episode a little bit. Maybe we'll have to go long. I don't know. I got... Holy crap, that was a chunk of XP. God, they really comped me for my time. That was nice. Yeah, maybe we will go a little bit long. But yeah, so basically, coding experience, right? Basically, I did some C# stuff. I did it with, I did some C# stuff. I did it with, with a friend of mine, or blah, blah, what am I even saying? Come on. All this, like, this techie talk of stuff is, like, investigation is, like, completely fried my brain. So I'm gonna do a little walk now, I guess. Yeah, so basically, I started with the college stuff. I went on to do the C++ stuff, and then I did. I worked for my dad for a little while doing like product management, product owner stuff for a product that we collaborated on to build a live character for a theme park. That was all done in Unity, and Unity runs on C#. So I spent we had a lot of contractors who were developers who, they worked in Taiwan, and they're pretty much 24 hours opposite time of us. So I ended up spending a lot of late nights screen sharing with Taiwanese developers, going over C# code and basically like event listeners for these like live action motion capture controllers we were using, and code kind of built around that. So I've over my life, I guess the narrative of this is that over my life I had become very associated with code, like looking at code, how it's structured, but I never really got any real good knowledge of things. I could set up little coding projects that were about as valuable as any exercise in any course, but I couldn't do anything of any real value with any of them. So what ended up happening was later down the line through career exploration, and also I think I actually was working for Dad at the time. I was on Instagram randomly, and I saw an ad for the UCF Coding Bootcamp, and this is before it became like super vogue for everybody to try to get into this thing. And it was like, I looked on some review sites and found that it was pretty well reviewed, and I decided that I was going to go for it because I'd always wanted to learn how to code, and I felt like I kind of got gypped multiple times or never really had the right experience to learn. I did it. It was about 7 grueling months between August and October, though less grueling for me because I wasn't working while I was doing this, and I kind of allowed myself to devote all my time to it, but it was still challenging and moved really fast. And the whole course was built around web development, so HTML, CSS, JavaScript, different frameworks, mainly React, some PHP, Node, Express, some CSS libraries like Bootstrap and Material and Materialize, and then that was basically it. And then also like, just like the basics of like web design, some algorithms, some like basically interview question kind of bullshit. But it was tough, and throughout the whole process, I think maybe about 10 of us out of 50, 30, 35 to like 50 people were competent at doing it. And anybody who had kind of gotten slow at any point kind of got lost in the onslaught of knowledge, right? So I got out of that. I had some stuff. It took me about 5 months to find a job. I found a job with Lockheed as a senior developer, which I didn't think I was ready for, but then I feel like I was. When I took the job, I realized that I was actually ready to work at a senior level over there, because honestly, people who graduate from computer science programs don't know much, which would be like the college route of doing it. They don't necessarily know much about web development. After I graduated, I studied, I had a cursory kind of understanding of C#, and I parlayed that into learning more about the .NET libraries and getting into that, because there are a lot of .NET backend jobs in Orlando. And then I also learned Angular and AngularJS, and then I learned a bunch of things in AWS because those were things that everybody was asking for. And I got a job. There were a couple people that had moved within their companies to do web development and stuff, and that some of them got their branch, like their new branch dropped. Some of them are still doing that. It's kind of a 50-50 split for that front. Recently, I had a friend get a job at SpaceX. I don't know how much coding he is doing that, but I think he is. He's doing some kind of like coding fabrication thing, I think, for SpaceX. But either way, cool company to work for. I'm sure his coding experience helped him get that job somehow. And then my buddy Sajad, who was kind of like my right-hand man, we were kind of like, we're the 1 and 2 like leaders in the class. He got a job a couple months after me. It took me about 5 months, I think I said, to find a job. And he found a job at Microsoft, and it was his first like development job, making 6 figures. Was moved out to Redmond in Washington, and has been there ever since. And and he likes it okay. You know, I think the work is tough, and you're kind of inside the Microsoft bubble if you're there. But he's getting paid a lot, and it's, you know, Washington's a great state to live in. But yeah, I guess to all this is like, to the point of saying all this is that, you know, a lot of people want to get into coding because like coding, software development, hardware development, that's the future. That's where all the jobs are. That's a really stable background. You stay relevant with your skills, you're always going to have a gig. You most likely will have a gig where you can work from home at least part of the week like I do, and have a good time of it, and have a really comfortable life where people listen to you as long as you are building things that they want, especially if you're working for a big company like Lockheed and not a startup where they'll just want you doing every single thing they can think of ever at any given moment. But yeah, I think that even if you're not one of those, like for me coming out of a boot camp, I ended up skill-wise being around like higher level developer than people who graduated college and don't do it like at a hobbyist level, but a lower level than the hobbyists. Like the people who are like really passionate about development and have been doing it since they were little kids, those are the people that are like, damn, you are like sick at everything. Like, you know, we know guys that like have always been developing, and they like do LinkedIn coding classes, and they know like everything, and they pick up like new stuff all the time. And like I had a good buddy who was, you know, basically the same age as me and was like offered to go teach like the history of computer science at Harvard, and it wasn't like lucrative enough pay for how much he was already making doing like his own business stuff basically. And he was the same age as me, so I mean you can just imagine how big of a money pit this stuff is. And I don't have like the passion, I think, like the same level of passion as those hobbyists are for just development. I remember, I guess this was another experience I didn't state. There was a time, I think around when I was going to those UCF classes, where I was sort of soul searching. I'd already graduated, but I knew I didn't want to use my economics degree for anything, and I didn't even believe that economics was as valuable as some people thought it was. Like some of the theories are a bit of a stretch in my opinion. But I was soul searching, and I talked to an engineer, and he said, well, if you're going to be a developer, you have to have a love for solving problems. And I equated problems as puzzles, and I think he did too. And I was like, no, I fucking hate puzzles. I hate puzzle games. I hate the idea of like arbitrary problems that have no real meat, where the rules are defined by somebody else and you have to solve them by those rules or you fuck up. And I think it kind of like mentally, at least in that time frame for however long that lasted, kind of like shut me off from wanting to develop. And then later I found out that that's not, I like fixing things, but more than that, I like building things. And how coding kind of came across to me was that you can see the manta ray in the feed. That's nice. Finally. He's been too high a lot of the time. Otherwise, coding for me is good because you can fix problems, and you just have the rules of the language, and those rules are constant no matter what you're doing. If you're in that language, and you can solve the problem a zillion different ways. It's not like, playing like, I don't know, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, where like the developers just come up with some arbitrary like win button for everything. Even puzzles like, an investigation in this game that we just had. Maybe it's an apt episode to have this, where you can clearly they're waiting for you to ask certain questions before they allow you to have an answer. If this was coding, you could just solve it or you didn't solve it. And if the code ran, it ran, and if it didn't, it didn't, maybe web development is my experience. So like I can restart the local dev server a trillion times and see if something worked or didn't work, or log it out. If you're working as an engineer for space stuff, you don't really get any other chances to test things outside of models. So it's imperative that you're right when you make these hypotheses about what's going to happen. So I think even if you're not a puzzle person, you can really enjoy coding. I love web development, which is what I was schooled on, because it's so easy to build something that's cool and then see like the net value of what your work is outside of just like make a calculator, make a organization thing. Like you can just make anything you want, and you have the layout and the template to match the logic that you're building. And people complain about web stuff because it's really loose, and honestly that is a valued, it's really easy to write spaghetti code for like JavaScript, but like when you have like a stricter class-based structure, or you're using a framework that enforces stricter stuff, or you even just work on a project where you have a lead who enforces strict coding practices, none of that stuff will come up. Maybe those things are easier on like smaller teams where you're not working with code from 10 years ago, but I mean it makes sense why systems people aren't that comfortable with web stuff. But if you want to learn code, go take a boot camp. If you're somebody like me that likes having people to bounce questions off of, and you don't really know, you might not have access to the people around you that would be able to help you learn. I tried to convince loads of friends to do it at the time. They were all like, nah, dude. And I'm not going to name names, but there were like 3 or 4 close buddies that were kind of skeptical about results coming out of this thing. And every single one of them are doing the same boot camp that I am now. And they've dropped a lot of things in their lives, effort-wise, so that they can do those things. So it just goes to show you that, like, knowing the skills is valuable. But, I mean, for me, it took me like 5 months to find a job because I couldn't move from Orlando because of my girlfriend. I didn't want to move. Other people, it took a long time because they only wanted to accept certain price ranges, but, it's whatever. But if you want to learn a code, learn web, learn a systems language like C# or Java, or C++, if there's a C++ thing that you're looking at, like you want to go from no experience to designing game engines or optimizing Unreal, because you have to do a lot of memory collection, garbage collection stuff in C++, and that's all to the point of being optimized for a game engine, where something that's like a higher level language, higher level meaning like more things below it are being managed by the system, low level being like C++, where C++ is a low level software because it's close to the hardware and you have to like manually manage things a lot more for efficiency's sake. JavaScript, you don't need to be that efficient, and you can just kind of go and get your results, and that doesn't make it worse, it just makes it, and no language is bad or good, they're all just, they either fit the task or they don't, It's like a character in one fighting game can be really good in this environment and really bad in another one, based on the smallest of changes. A game where if there's a character that's really focused on meter management and meter moves are not that good, or they don't have any moves that are good with meter, then they're not going to be that good. But in a game where meter management is everything, like King of Fighters or something, then they're going to be really good. So that's how coding languages are. I think in fighting games all the time, so like that's kind of how I do it. But you want to be a coder, great, awesome. Go take a boot camp. If you're like me and you're, I assume if you're interested in this at all, you're one of these people that are like not lifetime hobbyists that don't, that actually need this advice, because honestly, the people who are self-taught for this stuff, they're monsters and they don't need anybody's help for the most part. But if you do a boot camp, you'll probably be a stronger developer than people that came out of college for sure, but you won't be stronger than those guys because the passion will take them everywhere. And it's a slower build for those guys, but like they'll be stronger probably overall. But that doesn't mean you can't get better, because like for me, as I've said before, I've sacrificed a lot of my, I had a huge passion for coding before I started working for it, and now I think because I do it so often, I'm less passionate about like wanting to start my own projects and doing doing my own builds and stuff. And I think I'll probably start another project sooner than later, but it's not like you kind of sacrifice your passions to your job sometimes. And honestly, coding was one of the ones I was okay with right from the beginning, because I knew it would get me what I wanted, a job where I made a lot of money, had a lot of flexibility, and had a lot of time. And it did that. So I still do love coding. It's not like I don't get excited about coding, because I do it all the time, and anybody who's worked in anything that's like passion oriented can probably tell you that they've felt the same way. But yeah, I think that's it for development. If you want to learn coding, go take a boot camp, learn a systems language. if you learn like one language, if you learn a systems language and a web language, you've pretty much learned everything. And you can learn some frameworks, you can learn some cloud stuff. Everybody kind of has to learn cloud now, whether that be Azure, Google Cloud, AWS, because that's kind of like the third ring. You know, if there's three things, there's like web development, systems, backend stuff, which is like the more like strictly typed class-based hierarchy stuff, like no way around it kind of stuff. And JavaScript is the looser, like has more aspects of functional programming stuff, and then cloud is like a whole huge thing. So, but if you learn like say HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and like, you know, an easy framework like Angular JS or Angular, and then you learn like C# backend, like .NET backend, or Java or anything, you're in a really good shape to learn every single language, because they're really similar, because they all come from like the same C object-oriented background. So do those things, you'll be golden. Build some stuff, find some peers, challenge yourself. I'm at Sandral Grounds. I'll do a little bit talking, then I'll be out of here.
This is private property. My wife.
How many private properties are there? You know, everything's private property in this this area. Jesus. Cat hounds, huh? Well, next time. I'm sorry that the episode didn't end up being, you know, as clear as it is, but I think I just got way too into that detective thing. It was really cool and interesting. But anyways, next time we'll play more of this and hopefully not get attacked by this cat hound. Dude, don't come over here. Anyways, next time. Bye bye.